systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Shipping Nation YouTube station? Back with my guy Gyiraszin. Day baseball and a main slate, right? Wednesdays are great. You get two slates for one. Double the trouble, right? Hopefully everyone's early slates are going well out there. I did not play on the early slates. I had some meetings and some day job stuff to get done, so I didn't really want to mess around if I can't put forth full effort. I just like to not play, right? There's tons of baseball slates. I am playing this slate. This slate does start at 5:10 p.m. Lord's time zone. Shout out to our guy DGen, big guy in the sky. A full hour ahead of normal lock and ends. The last game is that D-backs and Brewers game at 6:40. On DraftKings, at least. The Sacramento game did not get included on DraftKings, so I do like that. It is included on FanDuel, which is obviously a big talking point because that game looks to be the best game overall from an offensive standpoint. So if you're playing over on FanDuel, don't forget about that game. But if you're on DraftKings, like majority of you are, make sure you set your lineups because that Giants-Phillies game, we're going to talk pitching for sure. One of the best pitching options on the slate, it does come from that game. So if you miss out on that, it's going to be pretty tricky there in general with the type of pitching landscape that is ahead of us here tonight. Gyiraszin, happy Wednesday, brother. Excited to break down this 6-game slate now with Houston and Baltimore getting waxed, which is I'm glad, right? I didn't really want to navigate another weather spot there and didn't look very promising. There was a pretty decent chance of a postpone. Luckily, they just did that ahead of time, right? So we don't really have to worry about that. But how's your Wednesday, man? Looking forward to breaking this one down.
Yeah, not bad. Had to do some day job work like you were mentioning earlier. I'm running around had to go to a couple plants today and get some robots, parts. You know, I got to do my job, bring them back to the plant so everybody's got something to work on and repair. But so yeah, I had to do the no fun job, but now we get to do the fun job. Nays get to come in at night here. I mean, last night wasn't too bad for us. We got some stuff right. I mean, we kind of know. It seems like, you know, like what I like, especially about these shows, is, you know, like I don't feel like I don't want to just tell you who to play all the time. That's kind of easy, you know, and then you blame me when it doesn't work. But I just want to teach you how to fish, right? Like we talk about like like what kind of slate we're looking at, what kind of pitching options we had. We had all kinds of pitching options yesterday, and then today, not so much, man. It's like, what do we got? We got the best pitcher on the planet in Scooble, and then we got Sanchez been pitching really well, and then we got Logan Webb, as you mentioned, in that earlier game as well. After that, I mean, it's like a dice roll. I mean, guys that you're going to have to take a chance on, maybe that you're not all that comfortable with. So like you said, man, you missed that first game over there on DK. You might be you might be stretching it pretty thin for some picks, especially have to pull two guys out of that mess. Will definitely be fairly tough. But yeah, I mean, offense today seems to be pretty decent in some spots that we like. I mean, you mentioned that Reds game. I mean, that should be an interesting one. The Great American Home Run Ballpark with some contact pitchers, fly ball guys. So kind of looking forward to that one. But yeah, I mean, hey, let's give it up to your brew crew a little bit yesterday there. We got that one right, man. They absolutely crushed it yesterday. Wish the Dodgers would have done a little better on some of the teams and the combinations I had there. But yeah, I mean, they're looking good. I mean, they're a team that's just putting pressure on all the time, you know, right? They're stealing bags. You know, they might not all hit 25, 30 homers, but the pressure they put on constant is definitely something to be noticed. But yeah, I mean, hey, we got 6 games today. What is this? Yeah, 5 on FanDuel. So yeah, kind of looking forward to it and kind of see where we can come up with it. But definitely, we need to stay hot. It seems like we've been doing pretty well on these shows here the last few days. I was just telling a buddy of mine, I'm like, man, every day I'm on the show, it seems like I'm making money. When I'm not on the show, is it just because maybe I'm not putting as much effort into it or something? I don't know. It just seems like it's a luck thing or something. I don't know, Nate. It just funny that way.
Yeah, I feel the same way, right? I do a lot of preparation when I'm on the shows for sure, right? Sometimes you cut corners a little bit, right? When you're not doing a slate plan for our subscribers or on the show here. I obviously do a bunch of research just like you going into the show, so I'm not talking out of my ass on these shows. And I'm actually what I say I'm going to do is typically what I end up doing, right? I was super heavy exposed. I had like 50% Brewer stacks last night. So I had a good night overall. Decent there. My MMA upload kind of screwed up my main team. So that was pretty tilting in general. But luckily, my MME got me where I needed to be overall. So looking forward to trying to run it back here. We got a bunch of our fellow friends in the chat. Stoners in here. Chris, Wins a Lot, Ricky Rose, Warren Tyler, Flip to Flop, Gang Green. Our guy Kenny W is back for some more punishment. He got his ass kicked last night with those D-backs, like many of us did, right? The D-backs definitely did not pull their end of the stick last night in that game. It was nice to see the Brewers get the job done. But, hey, let's talk about this slate. We got your guy, Tariq Skubal, up all the way at the top, 10-7, a full $1,000 more expensive than Christopher Sanchez. Logan Webb at 8-7, J.R. Ritchie, 8-5. He's looked decent in his first couple starts, but not the best matchup here. Does struggle against lefties, and obviously the Tigers have a lot of good lefties or lefties that can give some power or some fits there in that game. Let's just do the entire pitching pool. Obviously, there's only 6 games, 12 pitchers. You can throw out probably half of them at least, but pitching in general, broad slate overview, it's Skubal, Sanchez, and David Peterson down on the low end, maybe some Logan Webb. And then offense from that Rockies and Reds game is kind of what the dry run sets up to be. If you look at team stacks, 93% Red stacks, 34% Rocky stacks. Outside of that, I mean, it's the reason being is you can play Skubal, you can play Sanchez, you can play David Peterson down at the cheapest pitcher on the slate. And, hey, sets up pretty easy there. So if that wins, everybody's going to be playing a 1v1, 2v2 in terms of a mini stack against each other. So we'll do the best we can to navigate it through there. But Gyiraszin, hit on the pitching. What do you see here? Talk on the main 4, Skubal, Sanchez, Webb, and Peterson. And then any other dart throws or contrarian options that you can look to here, because some of these other guys, it doesn't feel like a safe click, doesn't feel like a comfortable click, but you're going to have to take some chances here on a slate like this where it feels very cut and dry, and we know what the field's going to do. We know what majority of the rosters are going to be. You could see some of these other guys like a J.R. Ritchie, maybe an Erod, right? Maybe a Cade Cavalli. Some of these other guys get there in terms of a DraftKings score. What do you see here in terms of pitching?
Yeah, I mean, there's only really a handful of guys I'd even consider over on DK. But, I mean, when you start at the top with Skubal and Sanchez, I mean, the $1,000 price difference to what you're really getting between the two, I think it moves Sanchez closer to Skubal for me. I mean, I think Skubal so far in ahead, and just with the safety that he brings. Now, I will lay caution to the matchup he has with the Braves. I mean, I think that is definitely what's keeping him down a little bit as far as like projected points. I mean, the strikeouts just really aren't there. Really, Olsen and Acuna are guys that are in the red as far as strikeouts go. Albies, Baldwin, Doobie and Riley. I mean, these guys really aren't striking all that much, but I mean, this is still Tariq Skubal. He's one of the best pitchers, as we've known, back-to-back Cy Young winner. I mean, he does keep the ball on the ground a lot. For me, I think Skubal's safe. I think I could find the extra salary there and get up to him as far as some of the bats go, because some of the teams that I do like that are in decent spots aren't all really that expensive today. But I think Sanchez and Skubal are right there, 1A, 1B. I think, especially with the price for Sanchez, and then you look at Logan Webb. I mean, I think at his price he's decent, but I mean, I'm just not a fan. I don't like the ceiling he's bringing to the table. I mean, he doesn't really have that high of a K upside. But when you match him up against some of these other guys here, I feel a little bit more safe about him, that he's, at least going to get me some innings and get me some outs and at least get me some Ks here, at least keep me in it, which is where I think we're with Logan Webb. And then you mentioned Peterson all the way down at the bottom. I mean, at his price, 6,200. I mean, he's not been that good all year. I mean, he hasn't really been pitching all that well. He hasn't really. I mean, last 2 games he's gone 3 innings. But I mean, we're looking at the Nats, who can't seem to do anything right against any kind of left-handed pitching. They've just been god awful recently. I think that's why everybody's looking at him. He's definitely going to be in play with like Skubal or Sanchez. I think that's going to be a pairing that you're going to see quite a bit. But when you look at some of these other guys, Richie. I think Richie's kind of interesting. I mean, he did come out against the Nats. I think Woods hit his first pitch over the fence, if I'm not mistaken. And then he ended up going 7 innings at 7 Ks. I mean, he looked pretty decent. But, when you peel back some of his minor league numbers, he looks just to be like an average strikeout pitcher. So I don't want to get overly too excited about Richie here, but I do think could be in a little bit of trouble. I kind of feel like he's a guy I could use, but I kind of lean a little bit more to the Tigers side there just because he's young. I think the Tigers got some pretty good left-handed bats that he's going to have to navigate through today. So I'm a little concerned there, but I do think there is some upside there. We don't really know what he is, really, right? So, I mean, I think that's the mystery there. Erod against Milwaukee, I mean, I definitely prefer the Brewers against a righty. But Erod is a guy that just generally doesn't seem to get blown up. He's just a crafty old pitcher that's been around a little bit. So I don't really have any love for Erod. I see Chandler getting some love, but I mean, the dude's just been, he's just been concerning. His last start out, he had 6 earned runs. He's been walking a lot of guys. He gets a St. Louis team here. I mean, Chandler's popping. I think he's a guy you could play. I don't know, man. I just don't love it. But on this slate, there really ain't much you could do. I think Cade Cavelli is a guy that I think I'd rather play Nades against the Mets. The Mets have just been absolutely terrible. I mean, they scored those runs yesterday. It was really only 2 guys that got them where they were at. So, I think in Cavelli, I think I'd rather play him, Sproat. I think he hasn't been very good against lefties, and Arizona's got some pretty decent lefties. I think that would concern me a little bit, but I wouldn't take him out of my pool either. So, when you get down to these lower level guys, no thanks on Sagano, Williamson, Palante, I'm not interested in playing. I mean, the only guys I could even really say I feel safe about playing is Skubal, Sanchez, and probably Webb. That would really be it, to be honest with you. After that, I think Cavelli and Peterson in that game is 2 guys that I could look at in that same game. But, man, I mean, I think I like more offenses way more than I like pitching. The only guy I even feels safe is Skubal. But, I mean, I think Skubal could go like 5-6 innings, maybe have 6-7, 5-6 Ks. He ain't going to blow the slate away. I think you're almost just paying a little bit up for the safety. I think Sanchez can keep up with them. But, I mean, San Francisco does have some Ks in that bats in that lineup. So a lot better matchup for him there. But me, I just feel safer clicking on that Skubal name than Sanchez. If you can jam Skubal and Sanchez in, I think that would be the way to go about it. But yeah, I mean, tough pitching slate overall. You're just going to end up clicking a guy or 2 that you really don't like.
Yeah, I agree there. Hard to argue Sanchez and Skubal. I prefer Sanchez slightly just with the $1,000 discount. Not a contrarian take by any means. Both of those are great plays. If you compare them together, great. Majority of the teams are going to have one of those guys paired with Peterson so they can get extra money to spend up at bats. Peterson's fine. I just think, man, it's tough. The Nats are terrible against left-handed pitching. Peterson is just a guy that goes out there and really doesn't get lit up too often. Tends to keep the ball on the ground. He's a ground ball guy. You look at the Nationals lineup and they do hit the ball in the air. I mean, 39% ground ball rate as a team, 28% fly ball rate as a team. So they do have guys to hit the ball in the air there. So there is risk with David Peterson. I think if I'm of the big 3, right, that are getting ownership, Sanchez, Skubal, Peterson, I'm more willing to sell on a guy like Peterson. There is some cheap bats to make it work, right? So if there's a guy that I don't like as much as the field, it'd be a guy like David Peterson. Hard to argue, though. It's a good place to pitch up there in Citi Field. The weather for pitching there, it's like 50 degrees. There is wind blowing out, which does favor some of that right-handed power there in general. But, yeah, 50 degrees. I mean, everything points to Peterson being a good play. I'd just rather take a shot on a pitching slate that is pretty shallow, pretty gross in general. When I like Sanchez and Skubal, I need to look for something to get a little bit different, and that's where Peterson comes in. I have a little bit more interest in a guy like Bubba Chandler than you do. I think he's interesting. I'm not super afraid of this Cardinals offense in general. It's a good place to pitch in Pittsburgh. I like the Pittsburgh bats a little bit as well. So if you can get that 4-point win, that's huge on a slate like this, where I'm looking and pitching's gross in general. We don't expect massive ceiling performances from many of these guys. So that extra 4-point win potential with a guy like Bubba Chandler, I think is interesting. You look at his outs prop, 15.5, juice to the over, which is one of the best on the slate outside of the, obviously, the Logan Webbs, the Skubals, and Sanchez's of the world. I mean, you look at Chandler, 15.5 out prop, like I said, juice to the over, K prop's decent. So I like him a decent amount. Erod, I think, is interesting as well. The Brewers are not the same team against left-handed pitching as they are against right-handed pitching, obviously with all of those lefties in the lineup there. You look at the Milwaukee Brewers offense against left-handed pitching on the current season. Yeah, they don't strike out, but 102 ISO, ex-WOBA, sitting right around 300, which isn't terrible. The thing that scares me, though, with Erod is he struggled lately with some walk issues, and this Brewers offense is a very impatient team. However, he struggles with walks to the right side. Now, Perkins is probably going to be in there. Rengifo is probably going to be in there. Those are both switch hitters. So he's going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 righties, which does give Erod some fits there. It's just on a pitching slate that feels pretty gross. I think he's clickable. J.R. Ritchie and Cade Cavalli are kind of my two under-the-radar guys. So it's really Bubba Chandler, Cavalli, Ritchie. Those three, outside of the big guys up at the top, are kind of the three that I have the most interest in over a guy like David Peterson. I know you're spending a little bit more to get up to Cavalli, to get up to Chandler. I think I'm willing to do that on a slate like this. So Sproat, I think you could leave him in the pool. I don't really like it. I'm much more on the D-back side of that game. So I'm probably not going to get to Brandon Sproat too much. Outs prop isn't very good. 14.5. It is heavy juice to the over there. His K prop sitting around 3.5. Perdomo's going to be back in that lineup, which does hurt him as well. They're throwing a bunch of lefties at him. He struggles with lefties. So at his 7K price point, I think he's fine, but I much prefer Cade Cavalli at similar ownership that I'd rather just go with those guys. So for me, Sanchez, Skubal, Peterson, Webb, Chandler, Cavalli, Ritchie, Erod. Pitching, pretty gross in general. Obviously, the big three, everybody knows, Sanchez, Skubal, Peterson in terms of ownership. Logan Webb's the guy that people are going to click just because the pitching is pretty starved here. So in terms of the guys with ownership that I like, Sanchez and Skubal are far and away the top. Peterson and Webb fall a step below, and I'd rather go to a guy like Bubba Chandler, Cavalli, J.R. Ritchie than go to Logan Webb. So I prefer Ritchie over Logan Webb in the same price point, 8,700, 8,500. They're similar plays, in my opinion. Pitch counts there. So I just rather chase the strikeout potential with a guy like J.R. Ritchie with those Tigers strikeouts that they could have in that lineup as well. So, yeah, I think we see pitching pretty similar here. Peterson just scares me, man. I just think everybody's roster is going to come preloaded with one of Sanchez and Skubal and Peterson just because of the salary it allows you to do. Everyone sees the numbers. His strikeout prop's good. His outs prop's decent. Everyone knows Washington's not good against left-handed pitching. It's just, man, something gives me a sour taste in my mouth with David Peterson.
I'm with that, Nate. I just was checking it out, like why he had 40-some pitches in his last couple outings. It appeared he come out of the bullpen his last two times out. The two starts he had before, he was in the mid-80s. So his last two times out, so he hasn't been over 40-some pitches in almost 2 or 3 weeks. So I think that's a little concerning as well. Like I think if he gets in any kind of trouble and he's in the mid-60 range, Nate, he gone. They're going to yank his ass. So I think that for me is another concern with Peterson, just his low pitch count in his last few weeks. I mean, they moved into the bullpen obviously for a reason, but we don't know what that is. It's not anything that I can see has been reported or anything, but yeah, for him to come out of the bullpen the last few weeks and only had two outings with 40-some pitches, is a little concerning. One of the games was a softball game, which was 10-8. So I don't know, I didn't look at the box score, but he could have just came in just to fill some innings out if they were getting smoked or something. But it is concerning to me that he's come out of the bullpen the last 2 times. And then what? He's going to be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate? Like, it just, I don't know. It just, like you said, it just don't sit right.
Yeah, 67 pitch count average in the last month. I don't know. I get he's 6,200, but again, salary doesn't really mean a ton on the slate outside of if you want to play Sanchez in the top 2 guys and then go and stack the Reds power guys like Ellie De La Cruz in that Rockies game, right? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I like the D-backs a ton, and I'm going to need some salary, but they got some lefties in there that are cheap and stuff. So, yeah, Peterson just gives me fits. Scubal and Sanchez, by far and away, my 2 favorite guys. The 2 guys that are going to be lower owned that I like a lot, Bubba Chandler, I like him a ton. J.R. Ritchie, I think, is interesting. And then Cade Cavalli down in that as the kind of direct but indirect pivot off of Peterson for $1,000 more. I think he's interesting there on the exact same other side of that game. I just don't buy the Mets offense right now. Yeah, they got some runs last night, but it really was a couple big swings, right? Bichette hitting the solo bomb to kick it off, and then Soto. Outside of that, really, I mean, it's just not great. Cavalli's not a great pitcher by any means, but he should go long. He's going to be a fraction of the ownership on the exact same pitching conditions, exact same game, pitching in 50-degree weather as well in a pitcher's ballpark. So for me, I'd rather side with the Cavalli side overall. Let's jump over and talk hitting here. Pitching's obviously pretty gross in general, so there should be a lot of decent spots in terms of hitting. As you see here, Astros-Orioles was going to be on the slate. That game is postponed, so do not play any of those donkeys in your lineup. Takes us to the best spot on the slate in terms of offense, on DraftKings at least, without that Sacramento game. The Reds, the Rockies, Sagano, Brandon Williamson, 2 of the worst pitchers on the slate. Sagano I can't believe this dude's still making starts in the major leagues. He's absolutely terrible. The Reds are going to be the chalk of the slates. Look at this Coors Field type ownership, 125% combined ownership, probably at least here. Hard to argue it. Rockies bullpen has been one of the better bullpens in baseball, though, so there is some concern there. Hard to argue, though, the Reds. I prefer the Rocky side to the Reds. I just don't think Brandon Williamson's good. Beck, Doyle in there, Goodman, Castro, Tovar. I mean, you got some guys in here that can do some damage. Full 9 inning at bats. The Reds bullpen is dog shit. I lean the Rockies in this one. What do you see here, though, in Great American Small Park?
Well, actually, I was looking at this one here. I mean, Cincinnati's bullpen actually isn't bad. You mentioned maybe you were looking at it a different way, but Cincinnati's bullpen's pretty decent. And to me, the Rockies bullpen, they're actually ranked higher than the Rockies bullpen. But to me, just sitting here looking at it, man, like you could run the optos, man, and you put in Sanchez and Scubal, and you can get 5 of the 1 through 6 hitters on the Reds jammed in with some other guys that are in some pretty good spots in your lineups. I mean, it's going to be a pretty common theme, especially with a lot of these Reds. So with that being said, I do like the Rocky side a little bit more, to be a little bit different, because I think this game here is going to be a softball game, if you ask me. I don't mind throwing in a couple of the Reds, but I think if you're heavier on the Rocky side, I mean, you look at this bozo over here from Colorado, Williamson, soft-toughed and lefty. I mean, the dude's got 10% strikeout rate to the right side. He's been walking guys left and right. His ISO's pretty high. His WOBAs are high. He's not getting any ground balls. He's got a lot of fly balls. I mean, Jordan, Beck, Goodman, I think these guys are all. Doyle's in a good spot. We know he's got some power. Tovar. So I do like the Rocky side just because of an ownership, especially from a if you're playing in smaller field tournaments, I think the Reds, I would prefer the Reds. But if you're playing in a large field tournament, Nades, I think the best way to go probably would be the Rocky side in this one. Like if you're playing in the single, entry and there's 100 people or less, then I'd probably prefer the Reds, to be honest with you, and try to get different with your other 3 guys, because I'm going to assume most everybody's going to have Sanchez and Scubal with some Reds. So, I mean, it seems like it's fairly easy to be able to come up with some decent lineups. So I think that's going to be, what we're going to look at here with this game. We're sitting there almost a 10 total, 9.5. We got a few other games that are in the 7s, a couple in the 8s. I mean, this one by far is definitely projected. We like the park. I think it's all kinds of scenarios here where we could see both sides. The Reds just seem kind of too easy. Sagano pitched to contact guys, not missing too many bats. You don't walk that many guys. He does have a slight ground ball lean. He's given up more fly balls to the right side, actually. But, Sal Stewart's been smacking the shit out of the baseball, as we know. So, they definitely got some power over there. But, man, I just think overall, when you just look at this game, I think the Rockies stand out because of the ownership. You got to make a stand somewhere around here. I think pitching's too thin for me to want to try to get too cute with pitching, Nate. So, to me, I'm just going to kind of treat this like a mini Coors Field game, like, where they were reversed. Maybe they're in Colorado, and I'm just gonna fade the Reds, and hopefully it don't beat me. I think there's some other good spots that we can look at as we come up with some pitching that's really not good. So, in my opinion, I'm not trying to talk anybody. I do think it's the best spot on paper on the slate. Don't get me wrong. It lines up. But like I said, I'm trying to be a little different here. And, Rockies to me seem to be in a really good spot. And I think they're going to go lower owned than they should be.
Yeah, and it's, you're the exact same hitting environment, wind blown out in the small park. But, Williamson arguably is the more attackable pitcher right now. This dude has a double-digit walk rate. His K rate's still not good. If that's the case, right, you walk a guy, you walk two guys. Well, now you got two guys on. You throw a meatball over the heart of the plate to a guy like Hunter Goodman. He hits it over the wall. That's 3-run dong right there, right? So at half the ownership, I just think the Rockies are the better tournament play. On paper, are the Reds the best play on the slate? Absolutely. Is it easy to play them with the spend-up pitching? Absolutely. That's why everyone's going there, and that's why their ownership is what it is. I know in terms of ERA, the Reds bullpen is good, but I trust XFIP the most. And in terms of XFIP, they're 7th worst in baseball on the slate, right? So I think they're due for some regression there. So yeah, give me the Rockies. I love the Rockies here in this one. You want the righties first: Beck, Doyle, Goodman, Castro would be kind of the 4 main ones I'd look at. Tovar down there as the wraparound at shortstop, 3,800. He hasn't been great this season, but I think this is a good spot. So yeah, best game environment on the slate. It's going to be an important one for your offensive wise. Reds, most popular stack for good reason on paper. We both prefer the Rockies in tournaments, especially in the larger field tournaments where you're trying to get all the way up to the top on a shorter slate like the 6 games, right? With a spot where people wanted to go for offense in Houston, Baltimore getting waxed. It's going to even concentrate ownership even more on this game, but more so on the red side of it. So give me the Rockies in tournaments. Next game, Phillies, Giants, Logan Webb, Christopher Sanchez, 2 of the better arms on the slate. I think the Phillies are fairly sneaky and pretty interesting in tournaments. This is a good lineup on paper. They haven't been great this year, right? Kind of put them in the ball camp of the Mets, but Logan Webb, he's not really a guy you like to pick on, but when he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. And I think the Phillies do have upside on a slate where nobody's going to play them. And Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, 10% owned on a 6-game slate. Sign me up. Trey Turner, 4,400. That's a cheap price point for him. He always has stolen base. Brandon Marshman, good this year. I think the Phillies are interesting here in tournaments. Yeah, the Giants bullpen is decent, but it's not as good as it has been in years past. They're actually, in terms of XFIP, Giants kind of sitting in the middle, right? Dead center, 15th in the league, 4.03. What do you see here in this one for offense?
Yeah, the lefties on the Phillies are definitely in play against Logan Webb. He's down at a 17.5% strikeout rate. He is a ground ball guy. So, we're going to want some guys that get the ball up in the air over here with the Phillies. And, you look at guys like Schwarber, almost 38%, Harper, a little over 30, Garcia, 34, Marsh at 28, Stott, 29. So, they definitely have some capability to get the ball up in the air. Logan Webb has given up 11 earned runs in his last 3 combined starts, 4, 4, and 3. So, he's been averaging right around that amount. So I forgot to make my phone stop dinging when somebody wants to talk to me, Nate. But, I think it's definitely in play. You look at the offenses that are on the slate, And the teams that are, not really as popular as you look at, I mean, this is definitely one of the better lineups overall that could definitely put up some damage. So I kind of like it more just plucking off maybe a mini stack or some one-offs and definitely go with some of the lefties here if you wanted to go that route. But yeah, I mean, I think it's in play. I just don't like it enough to where I feel like I'm getting enough leverage to want to really go, higher in on some Phillies. But yeah, I definitely like what you're laying down there with some Phillies being a low owned stack that definitely have some high ceilings and potential upside. I mean, Webb, 11 earned runs. He's like 7 hits, basically a hit or two an inning, 1.2 hits an inning. I mean, it's not like he's mowing everybody down and some dominant pitcher. He's not missing the bats on the left side. So yeah, I definitely think the Phillies, I'd put them in the sneaky stack category.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The Giants bullpen is rested, which does give me a little fits there. But again, they are not the same bullpen they were last year. They're still solid, but again, I mean, I think the Phillies are pretty interesting here in general. Not really getting on any Giants here. Yeah, Ramos, Chapman, Adames can have some power at times against left-handed pitching, but Sanchez is a terrible ground ball guy. Just really, really never gets beat up too much. Naturally, it'll happen on a 6-game slate when he's mega chalk, but not something I'm really risking. I mean, in large fields, sure, you can do anything in baseball. For the majority of people listening, it's not something I'd be suggesting to play any Giants, especially on this slate. I'd rather attack like a Screwball personally than attack a Sanchez guy here, or attack like David Peterson with some Nationals over attack Sanchez if I'm picking the other high-owned guys on the slate to potentially get some leverage there. Next game on the slate, Pirates, Cardinals, Palante, another ground ball pitcher, but just not a good pitcher in general. Pirates been good to us, Gyiraszin. I'm back in on the wagon here with the Pirates. Cardinals bullpen is not good by any means. They're one of the worst bullpens in baseball. This game's going to have some ownership on both sides, but it's not even going to come anywhere near what that is of Coors Field 2.0, if you will, on this slate. I like the Pirates a lot here. Cardinals are interesting as well because I do think Bubba Chandler's going to get ownership as kind of that mid-tier pitcher, right, that people think they're getting sneaky going to him. I know I liked him. Doesn't take the Cardinals off the radar here on a slate like this in terms of offense, but what do you see here up in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh's definitely an interesting spot. Palante just isn't getting any strikeouts, and his walk rates are really high to both sides of the plate, 11 and 13%. I mean, he's a little bit below his average ground ball rate. I mean, so we got a ground ball pitcher that's walking a bunch of guys, really isn't striking anybody out. His fly ball percentage a little bit higher this year against lefties than last year. So, I mean, you're looking at some of these lefties that Pittsburgh's rolling out. I mean, O'Neal Cruz, we obviously know, is a stud. Brandon Lau can hit bomb. Ryan O'Hearn, I think, is due. So, I mean, they're fairly cheap stack. I mean, Brian Reynolds as well, another lefty. I mean, the top, 7 guys are going to be seeing 5 lefties against them. So I think that's really interesting. I put Pittsburgh up at the top of my stacks here today. I mean, they're fairly cheap. And I think, that's what I was saying. Like, there's so many other options here today other than the Reds that you can get to fit in with a Screwball and a Sanchez. So, yeah, I think they're definitely in play. I mean, the Reds do have a couple cheaper pieces, but, O'Neal Cruz is going to cost you a little bit, obviously, but so will Ellie. But I think the Pirates are definitely in play. I mean, I would put them right on par, not too far, much, below where the Reds are as far as, when I grade them out. So Pirates have been winning people some money so far this year, that's for sure. They're not that triple A lineup that we were kind of laughing at last year. It seemed like they actually got some power behind them. I mean, Pittsburgh's for real. I wouldn't hold them out. So yeah, give me some of these Pirates here in this spot. And on the other side of it, man, the Cardinals just haven't been any good. I mean, Bubba Chandler, I'm just not a fan of Bubba. I mean, he's been walking too many guys. He's got a low K rate to the left side. He's going to end up seeing 5 lefties over here against St. Louis, but I just don't like the Cardinals enough to play him as a stack overall. So, but man, I think Pittsburgh's in a really good spot.
Yeah, really good stolen base matchup here too for Pittsburgh, which again I talk about all the time. Stolen bases get slept on. O'Neill Cruz a run, Connor Griffin a run. Nick Gonzalez has a stolen base he might run. Brian Reynolds. So definitely O'Neill Cruz and Connor Griffin for sure have added ceiling with stolen bases. And the nice thing is Connor Griffin hitting eighth at shortstop, which isn't a great position, right? Ellie De La Cruz is going to soak up so much ownership at the position. $3,700 for Connor Griffin, who, if he gets walked, all it takes is a walk for him. And the dude does have a lot of power. I mean, he's a phenom, hasn't quite gotten his bearings yet in the majors, but this dude is a mega prospect. And all it takes is a walk for him to have 7 DraftKings points sitting there at 3,700 at a shortstop position where so many other guys, like I talked about, Ellie De La Cruz, are going to just take up all the ownership. Tovar even at a similar price point. I mean, Tovar at the exact same price. I think Tovar is 3,800. Yeah, $100 more. I mean, give me some Connor Griffin. I like him a lot. Pirates are one of my top stacks, if not my top stack on the slate. I like them a ton. Cardinals, you want the lefties? Weatherhold, I think's interesting. Burleson, Gorman, really all the lefties. Nathan Church has been really good. 3,200 is a good price point for him. But yeah, much prefer the Pirates side of that game in general in terms of stacking.
Nate, Carter Griffin, the highlight of that kid catching his first home run ball, how excited that kid was.
Yeah.
That kid was like, man, he hit the lotto or something. Like,
you know what you do? You put that home run ball in the video of the Jumbotron or whatever in your keepsake, and you wait for Connor Griffin to start doing shit in the majors, and then you sell that thing. Right.
Yep. Dude, I did notice something when you were talking about stolen bases with the Pirates. The Pirates in the last 2 weeks have led to all MLB in stolen bases. They got more than half of their stolen bases in the last 2 weeks. So they've been bumping up stealing bags. So definitely a good point there with the Pirates that adds to, the value of that stack.
Yeah. I mean, Palante, you look at Palante in terms of stolen bases given up. 3 already this year in limited starts, 18 last year, 26 the year before that, 15 the year before that. So, I mean, he gives up a lot of stolen bases. It's probably the best running matchup or one of the best running matchups on the slate. So I do think there's added upside there to the Pirates guys. Next game, Nationals, Mets. David Peterson, probably all things considered, might come in as the highest owned pitcher given the salary. And the matchup here, Nationals, if you want some leverage here, you don't love James Wood or CJ Abrams lefty, but Peterson's probably not going to pitch the whole game here. I mean, he's probably, with his pitch count, probably goes 4 innings, maybe 5 innings max. So then you still have 4 innings of that bullpen where you have the lefty platoon. But Curtis Mead's probably the biggest pinch hit concern. I expect him to come out as soon as David Peterson's out of here. Brady House has been decent against lefties. Joey Wiemer, historically a lefty masher. I think he's a very, very interesting leverage play. 4,100 hitting 7th. Nobody's clicking that name. And I think it's fairly interesting. You got Nunez down there at 3,600 switch hitter. Second base is a weak position. I think he's interested in Keibert Ruiz has home run upside at a catcher position at 2,700 stone minimum. So I do think the Nats is a leverage are fairly interesting here. I know it's not a great place to hit. I know the park sucks. I know the weather's bad, but that's kind of the consensus of this slate. Nationals are pretty interesting in general. Mets, I don't love the Mets here. They're not really going to get played much. Nationals bullpen is horrible. Cade Cavalli's not a Cy Young by any chance. So the Mets fall in that category, kind of similar to like the Phillies, I would say. But probably a better spot on paper than what the Phillies have, just attacking Cavalli. And then that Nationals bullpen we know is god awful. So fairly interesting game here from an offensive perspective. All the ownership's going to be on the Mets side in terms of pitching on this one. What do you see here for offense?
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the Nats, I mean, they've been real bad, as we mentioned, against lefties. I like the call you had with House, basically, and then what was the other guy you had? I was just pulling it up. Yeah, Wiemer. Yeah, I think Wiemer. I like both of those righties. I think are pretty good one-off opportunities. I mean, Peterson's been walking. He's been walking guys a little bit more so far this year than he had been in the past, which is a little concerning. His strikeouts are down a little bit. I don't know. I just don't love it, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, especially with him coming out of the bullpen here in recent times. I think that is a sign of concern, and the Mets just can't seem to hit their way out of a paper bag. Of course, I ripped on him a little bit yesterday, and, they come out and score 8 runs, but still it was only 2 dudes that did anything. It was Bichette and Soto. I mean, the whole stack really didn't do much for you. So it's not like you needed them yesterday, and they were the chalk. I don't know, man. The Mets going to have to pick it up a little bit for me. Cavalli, though, they could get to him. It's the Mets. We're looking at a game total 7.5. I mean, sit with one of the worst bullpens. If you got a total of 7.5 and you got them pitching, those pitchers on the mound, tell me Vegas doesn't even, they have no respect for either one of these two lineups in this matchup here today.
Yeah, Mets bottom 5 in OPS. I think they're the worst actually against right-handed pitching in the league. So that's why I have interest in Cavalli. You'd want lefties. Melendez, Soto, I think are fine. Beatty, I think is interesting. Carson Benj, if you want a cheap guy too. Just the lefties really only. Mauricio is always a great play at 2K flat. He has stolen base upside. So if you wanted to get there, I wouldn't fault anyone. But yeah, I think the 2-man stack of Joey Wiemer and Nunez, 7-8 against an unknown or against a chalky Peterson. You throw those two in there. You got what, 7,700 for the two of them against a leveraged Peterson, and maybe in that type of build, right? You play like a Cavalli, right? $1,000 more. You pair Cavalli up with those two. Now you're leveraged Peterson. Cavalli's the cheap guy that outscores Peterson, and you got 2 bats that help do that, right? Now you just put yourself in a different category, right? And you can really do whatever you want after that. You can go up and play your Reds, right? Like everybody else is, and now you just play them differently, right? And maybe you can play go like a Screwball Cavalli or a Sanchez Cavalli, those two, and now you have a different roster construction, and then do whatever you want. Play the Reds, play the Rockies, do whatever. So I think it's pretty interesting overall. Next game, Tigers, Braves, J.R. Ritchie, Screwball, two of the better pitchers on the mound. Braves been best ball offense in baseball through this course. They have against left-handed pitching, 7th or 6th in terms of OPS. They just don't strike out a lot either. It's not the best strikeout matchup for Screwball, but again, in relative to the slate, it's still Screwball. I lean on better pitching than hitting in general. Always, obviously, back-to-back Cy Young winner. Screwball hasn't looked incredible to this year so far. I'm not picking on Screwball on this type of slate. Tigers, though, I have some interest in the Tigers lefties. McGonigal, Colt Keith, Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, even Wenceel Perez, Seal Perez, 2,200 for a guy that can steal bases and hit for power at times. I think he's interesting down there. And then Dylan Dingler and Torkelson been 2 of the better hitters in baseball. Definitely Dingler. Dingler's doing majority of his damage against right-handed pitching. Obviously, we know he's a historical lefty masher, but this year he's been murdering right-handed pitching as well. I think the Tigers are pretty sneaky here. Not sneaky. They're going to be owned, but I do like their upside on this type of slate. What do you see here?
Yeah, I agree with you with the Tigers. Riley Green, McGonigal, Torkelson, all 3 of them are in the top 20 in the last 2 weeks in OPS of baseball. So the heart of that lineup's definitely hit, and we know McGonigal's been getting on base quite a bit. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. You got a kid coming out. It's a second start. We really don't know who he is yet, so that being Ritchie. But, he's going to have a hard time with this Tiger lineup. I think he's in a little bit over his head. If you look at the team stats as far as OPS, as far as baseball goes, the Braves and Tigers are right there up at the top, both of them. So I think both of them for me are interesting. I don't think I could pick on Screwball like you said, but they do have some bats. I don't think the back half of that bullpen for the Tigers has been struggling a little bit. I keep hearing it on the radio, people complaining a little bit about it here in Detroit. But Screwball, it seems like he gave up 4 runs and then a couple games in a row give up 1, and then he gives up 4, and then he gives up 1 or 0 for a while. So, yeah, he's capable of getting blown up. Is this a small enough slate where I feel like, I'm going to get a bunch of leverage off playing Screwball? No. So I mean, if it was Sanchez, I'd probably feel a little bit better about maybe playing some Braves, I guess, what I'm getting at strategy wise, but I can't do it. But Tigers, I think, are in a pretty good spot. I definitely like some Tigers. I don't really fear that Atlanta bullpen. It is pretty good. They're not like a lockdown bullpen, but all the lefties there, as far as any of them Tigers that could be a pinch hit, Carpenter could get pinch hit. It could be potentially Colt Keith could get pinch hit. But really, other than that, I think it'd be a late kind of pinch hit. I don't think he'd pull it early.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look real quick. I want to see the lefties in that Atlanta bullpen, what their pitch count looks like. I mean, they got a lot. Lee's going to be available. Suarez. Bummer's probably not available, which does help. But Suarez and Lee are two lefties for sure that are available. And then, yeah, I mean, there's going to be two lefties for sure that are available. So Colt Keith, pinch hit concern for sure. Kerry Carpenter, and actually it probably goes Perez. Actually, no, it probably goes Jace Young, Perez, Colt Keith, and then Carpenter. Those are kind of the main four guys ranked in order of pinch hit there. And then, yeah, I mean, that Atlanta bullpen is good. So it does, I mean, for a team that's the second highest on team on the slate behind the Reds in the Tigers, there is some concern there, but I mean, you can't fade everyone on the slate. So I do think the Tigers are still interesting. You want an unknown play at first base, Matt Olson, he does hit lefties good. You look at Screwball, he's actually given up power to lefties, right? And Olson does hit lefties pretty solid. But again, like you talked about, not really a slate where I want to pick on Screwball, even given the shorter slate. I'd rather pick on like I talked about in David Peterson with a shitty Nats offense overall than pick on Screwball. So yeah, not for me. Takes us to the Diamondbacks and the Brewers. I love this game again here. Above average place to hit. Indoors in Milwaukee. Good park in general, just good dimensions in general. Plays above average for offense. Brandon Sproat on the mound, susceptible against lefties. You see the D-backs. It helps that they have our guy Perdomo, who's super, super underrated as a baseball player. I mean, 4K is just too cheap for him. He is dealing with a little ankle injury, so it might hurt his running a little bit there, but I'm not too worried. I love the lefties here for the D-backs. All things considered, ownership, everything, they're probably atop my charts right up there with the Pirates in terms of my favorite stacks on the slate. I just not super believer in Brandon Sproat yet. Yes, he has potential, but struggles against lefties, and he got some of the best left-handed hitters in baseball. Marte, Carroll, Perdomo's really good. Del Castillo's been really good. Vargas is the hottest hitter in baseball right now. He's 4K. And then my guy, Alek Thomas. Every time I play the Diamondbacks, I always love playing Alek Thomas. Nobody clicks him in the back half. Can hit home runs. He always seems to beat up on the Brewers here. So I like him. Not as much interest in the Brewers offense as I did last night. I just like them a lot better against right-handed pitching than I do lefties. Lockridge, Contreras, Gary Sanchez, I do think is a really, really good play. 3,300. This dude's been murdering lefties all year, just murdering both sides, but for sure lefties. I'm kind of shocked to see him sub 10% owned at that price point on this slate. I think he's one of the better plays on the slate in general. But yeah, prefer the D-back side in this one. What do you see here?
Yeah, I do like the D-backs. As you were mentioning there, the lefties against Sproat. Sproat's actually walked more dudes than he's actually struck out. So his 42% fly ball rate isn't going to do him any favors. He's at 32% to the right side. He's just given up way too many fly balls. He's given up way too many hard hits. He's getting barreled up almost 10% both sides of the plate. So, I mean, he's definitely a guy that probably is going to be long-term, be a decent pitcher. I just think that he's just not quite there yet. But the lefties here, he's going to see what, 5, 6 lefties. Perdomo, Marte, Carroll, Castillo, and Alek Thomas, as you mentioned. So, yeah, I really like Arizona today. I think Arizona could put up some runs. I don't like the Brewers as much. I like to save the Brewers for righties, to be truthful. I mean, if you were to ask me for a season started and Nades was going to say, "Oh, you want to play my Brewers?" I'd probably said, I don't really want to play them too often against them lefties, unless it's just some dude rolling up the red kickball up there to him. But yeah, I think I'll save the Brewers for another day. I mean, when you want to look at it and you're looking at some of the righties, like, if you wanted a cheaper catcher, you could maybe look at Sanchez. If you wanted to go there, Lockridge up at the top is fairly cheap, I would assume. I don't know. I just don't love it. But I think the D-backs are in another good spot with a team like Pittsburgh, a team like the Tigers that can compete with the Reds and the Great American Home Run Ballpark there, and the Rockies. So I think there's 4 teams that you could use to keep up with the Reds, Nades, and kind of split it up. And basically, you can pretty much make it work with Sanchez and Skubal. So, I think it's an interesting slate. The offense a little bit more spread out, pitching is a little bit more condensed. But, yeah, I mean, that's what happens when we only got a handful of games and we ended up losing one.
Yeah, no, I think we broke it down pretty good. Takes us to the end of the show. Your favorite pitching combination, your favorite overall stack, and kind of a lower owned one, and then any home run call for the people before we get out of here.
I think on DK to be different. I think I'd probably just maybe go Sanchez and maybe go Cavalli. Maybe I think that would be a decent one just to try to get a little different. If I'm playing a smaller field stuff, yeah, I'm jamming Skubal and Sanchez without even thinking twice about it. And then as far as stacks go, as we mentioned, I think the Reds are up top, but we got those 4 that I think are interesting: Tigers, Reds, Pirates, and Rockies. I think they are all interesting. And as far as a home run call, you know what? I think I am going to roll with Riley Green. I think he's going to hit a home run today for the Tigers. I don't mean to be a homer. I do watch them more than everybody else, but Riley Green's at the top of all of baseball the last couple of weeks and all of OPS. I think he's 6th or 7th. So I'm going to keep riding the hot bat, but Riley Green for me is in a really good spot. But yeah, I think today's interesting slate. That is for sure.
Yeah, I agree there. My favorite pitching combo, I'm going to go Christopher Sanchez. I like your Cavalli, but to be different here, I'm going to go Bubba Chandler. I like Bubba Chandler at 7,500. I know we differ there. But again, I like the strikeouts of the Cardinals lineup against right-handed pitching, especially on the road. Good place to pitch there in Pittsburgh. So give me Bubba Chandler and Christopher Sanchez. In terms of offense, I'm going to go to the Rockies. I like the Rockies a ton on the other side of the chalk Reds. Rockies are really interesting to me. And then I love the D-backs here. I'm going in. D-backs hurt everyone's feeling yesterday. They're going to get some ownership, but nothing crazy. I'm going right back to the well with Arizona here. And then home run call, I'll go to the D-backs. I think I'm going to go Alek Thomas. Hitting 9th. I was going to give Corbin Carroll, but he's going to be one of the more popular plays on the slate, so I don't want to – feels like kind of cheating there. I'm going to go Alek Thomas, and then I'll go to the Rockies as well. I'll go to Hunter Goodman at catcher. I like those two guys quite a bit here. Goodman obviously always mashes lefties. Good place to hit there. But, yeah, that's going to do it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button. Yeah,
everybody. I just noticed FanDuel moved up the start time to 6:10. So instead of 6:40, they moved it up to 6:10 from that San Francisco and Philly game being moved up. So just a word of wise, I just saw that come through there. So I thought that was important to cut you off before we ended, because slate time moved up a half hour just for all of those who are over there on FanDuel.
Yeah, no, excellent. Excellent point. Peter Porker has a question. Do you prefer Marte or Carroll? I mean, it's flipping a coin. If I'm stacking the snakes, I want both of them. I'll just be honest. I want both of them. I'm not going to – if I'm playing Arizona, I want all 3 of the top guys, Perdomo, Marte, and Carroll. That's how I'd start the lot. How I'd start the stack personally. I know those 3 are going to be the most popular. I don't really care. I just hate stacking a team and leaving their best run producers out of it. So I would try and get both of them, Porker, if you can. Whether that means maybe you drop down one of your secondary stacks or something like that. But I would try and get both of them if I'm playing Arizona there. But Gyiraszin, it was fun breaking down the 6-gamer here. Slate locks in just over an hour, about an hour and 15 minutes or so. So make sure you get your teams in, you make your adjustments. But appreciate it. Everyone tuning in. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. If you're not a member yet, shipitnation.com. click Join the Nation on the landing page there. You can see all of our packages. Cheapest all-in rate in the industry. $49 includes an optimizer with ability to build up at 150 teams and all of our content for baseball only. You can't even get SaberSim alone for that at sabersim.com. So check us out. For Gyiraszin, I'm Nades. Good luck tonight in those contests. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here. Peace.